Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Dave's Top 3,000 Songs of the Rock Era. Today I'm up to song number 2320, and that one is Dueling Banjos by Eric Weissberg. This came out in 1973. Here's a picture of the single. It was also released on the 1972 album called Dueling Banjos, which was the soundtrack for a very popular movie that came out at that time called Deliverance. Um, yeah, here's a picture of the movie poster, Deliverance. I never saw this movie. I heard it's very violent. I don't know if I'm really interested in seeing it, but I'll get into that later. First, I'm gonna feature a sample of the song "Dueling Banjos." So here goes. Okay, that's the end of Dueling Banjos by Eric Weissberg. I think it's a really, really great instrumental kind of country song. Pretty amazing banjo playing, I'd say. Um, and I guess the two artists who were playing the banjo, I don't know who the other one was, but they keep up and they keep synchronized in a pretty amazing way, I'd say. So I think it's a pretty great song. And, I learned something new today. This was not the original recording of this song. This is actually a very old song. Here's a picture of Eric Weissberg. But it was originally recorded by this guy here. His name was Arthur Guitar Boogie Smith. I guess he was a pretty famous country music, not just a musician, but also composer and record producer. He wrote this song, Dueling Banjos, back in 1954. And he was a pretty famous celebrity himself. As a matter of fact, he had his own TV show called The Arthur Smith Show. I'm not sure when this was on TV, sometime in the 50s, I guess. Um, and what else can I say about this song? Not a whole lot. I mean, I remember when the song came out. I think I'm just going to talk a little bit about this song before I talk about the movie Deliverance, which I haven't even seen. Uh, but I remember when this came out. I was like, I guess I was 10 years old because it came out. I think it came out the end of '72, but peaked on the charts at number two in 1970, early in '73. Just missed the top spot. I believe it was held out by Roberta Flack, if I'm not mistaken. Killing Me Softly with his song, I think was the song that held it on the top spot. I didn't know that at the time, but I thought it was a catchy song, and I was very popular. I used to hear it on the radio a lot in '73, and my uncle really liked this song. I think he also liked the movie Deliverance. Now I think I'll talk about the movie. I really don't know much about it. I've read a brief synopsis. Apparently, it's about some businessmen from Atlanta who go into the backwoods country of Georgia, and they get in a lot of trouble with, I guess, a lot of the locals there, and I don't. That's all I know about it. But it doesn't really sound like my cup of tea, really. I don't know, but I don't know. Like I said, my uncle liked the song and he liked the movie, and I remember, he died about 5 years ago, which was really tragic for me because he was one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Uh, his name was Robert Kagan, if you want to know his full name. He was a uh, public attorney for the PUC, Public Utilities Commission. He was a good lawyer who helped the people, and he helped people. He helped his friends his whole life, and I still miss him. But he had a video collection like I think most people do or did, and I used to stay at his house on the weekends, and a lot of times I like to watch movies with him. But he had very different taste in movies than I did. I mean, like I said, he liked really violent movies. This just being one of them, and I think there was only maybe about 10 or 20% of all the movies he owned that I liked too. And I remember one day I was looking through his because he had a big video library, a big bookshelf with all his I guess videotapes because he still had videotapes. Um, yeah, and I found Deliverance, and I think I asked my uncle. I said, "Is the movie any good?" He said, "You'd hate it." He didn't even stop to think. He knew that I wasn't going to enjoy this movie, so I didn't watch it. Maybe I'll work up the guts to watch it one of these days. I have watched some movies that have been pretty hard for me to watch. As a matter of fact, I watched the Birds by Alfred Hitchcock about maybe for the first time about 3 or 4 years ago. That was about my limit of what I could take. I've never seen The Exorcist. I'm not a fan of horror at all, and I don't like movies with a lot of senseless violence. If the movie has a good point that's not just the violence, I do enjoy. As a matter of fact, A Clockwork Orange, which is a Stanley Kubrick classic, that's actually one of my favorite movies of all time, even though it's also one of the most violent movies I've ever seen. So there are exceptions, but anyway, I guess that's all I have to say about Dueling Banjos, the movie it came from. So thank you for watching. You guys rock, and I'll see you next time. Bye.